You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good. He sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. These are the words of Jesus Christ from his Sermon on the Mount. This theme of forgiveness and grace is repeated by Jesus when, being captured to be put on trial, one of Jesus' disciples drew his sword, slashed at the high priest's servant, and cut off his ear. At this, Jesus said to him, "Put your sword back into its proper place. All those who take the sword die by the sword. Do you imagine that I could not appeal to my Father, and he would at once send more than 12 legions of angels to defend me? But then, how would the scriptures be fulfilled, which say that all of this must take place?" This is an example of the grace displayed in forgiveness. To forgive isn't simply uttering words, but the grace to allow someone their redemption. For that end was Jesus born, to redeem all of mankind. And the very people persecuting Jesus were also part of his plan of redemption. To deny a wrongdoer their redemption is to deny them the chance to be their best and accept them at their worst. Yet to be forgiving is a feat of its own, for there are many evil individuals in the world, and in the words of J.R.R. Tolkien, many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. But we mustn't be too eager to deal out death and judgment, for even the very wise cannot see all ends. For good or for ill, we all have our part to play in this world, and many who are wrongdoers are not grievous and wicked evildoers, but simply persons who are guilty of being wrong. And that is something, at one time or another, we are all guilty of. Long ago, Socrates uttered the words, "The only evil is ignorance." And it is this sentiment that we must carry in our hearts. Because people only do what they believe is in their best interest. And what people believe is in their best interest may be sorely misguided and to a fault. Before we persecute others for whatever beliefs we deem to be misguided, we must ask ourselves the following question that Marcus Aurelius would ask himself. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? And it is here that we may realize that most of the time there is no need to persecute one another, but to simply understand one another and forgive. For there is no progress without forgiveness. If people cease to forgive each other for their ignorance, persecution will come before understanding. When one becomes too eager to deal out judgments and persecutions, they cease to be righteous and become the very ignorance and evil they so condemn. This is not to excuse evil, but to merely understand it, for understanding is the first step towards ending it. Before people are agents of evil, they are victims of evil. And for that we must forgive them, for because of their unfair treatment in life they have been misguided and then became evil. It is here we may find the grace to be unlike our enemies. It is here we may find the grace to abandon the spite and hatred that created our enemies. For if we indulge in the same hatred and lack of heart that our enemies indulge in, we do no more than our enemies. Forgiveness allows us to separate ourselves from cruelty and be just. So, we must forgive others for their ignorance and petty wrongdoings. For a time will come when we will be held accountable for the times that we have been wrong. And it is in that time that we will wish for the grace and mercy of others to not persecute harshly, but to forgive us. It is when we are judged the same way that we have judged others that we truly understand that we must only do unto others what we would have them do unto us. And so, it is to this conclusion where the path of justice and wisdom leads. What separates the righteous from the evildoer is the capacity to forgive. To forgive oneself and others frees the soul from the chains of ignorance and allows one to be divine. Forgiveness preserves the good in the world. It is the bridge between man's failure and God's grace. Never deny a soul their chance for redemption, for that is the purpose for which we were all born, to be forgiven and to forgive, to choose grace over spite, to see light where others see darkness, to forgive, for they do not know what they do.